Hello, I'm Mark Hampton, and this is my high quality mock-up of my classic Reboot project. So let's go through opening it up and having a look at the contents. Okay, so as we can see, it's a hexagonal enclosure. It's got the title on the front and the details about publishing on the back, and it's being held together with this slip cover here, which is a tab and slot construction. So let's open that up, and here we get our first little surprise, is that this is actually a petal spiral, which was completely covered up when you had the cover on. You can't tell that that's what you're going to see. And this is lovely to open because when you pull one, they all open like that, like the iris on a camera. And then when we open up to the inside, we get a bit of a surprise. This is quite a chaotic and colourful inside compared to this grey pattern that we have on the outside. And this is the first hint that perhaps we're going to be seeing something unusual here. The first thing we find is this little booklet, which contains a little bit of a bio about the author, and it takes you through the introduction of the story, which does a very good job of setting up the world that we're in, the characters, and kicks off a little bit of narrative. There's then a page which kicks you off until a lot later in the story that kind of concludes where the introduction left off. So that's the booklet. It's got a copy of the information from the back of the slip here. And then we find a set of cards, and each one of these has some imagery on it on one side, and on the back side it has some short excerpts from the story. And each one of these is, meant to be a little intriguing. It's taken out of context, and all of it's aimed at kind of giving you some interesting imagery, perhaps updating that imagery to the modern world a little bit, given this was written in 1909, and kind of, extrapolating a bit. When the story talks about having thousands of friends, we can imagine that as a gigantic Zoom call like this, when one of the characters is giving a lecture. And as we go through this, the imagery tends to get a little darker. Here we've got human and machine kind of joined together. Here we have the machine beginning to be worshipped, and finally as the machine breaks down, this is quite dark here, but there's a lonely figure in the corner and the machine is clearly breaking down. All right, so we get those to have a play with, perhaps use as coasters or as artwork. And then finally, at the bottom of the enclosure, this QR code takes you to a free version of the story, the complete story on Feedbooks. Right, and that's it. It's very tactile enclosure. The hexagonal shape is taken from the story. It's to do with the shape of the living quarters that every human is now living in. And it all fits back together nicely like this, and it feels quite nice in the hand. It's got a little bit of weight to it because it's quite compact, and with the cards in there it's a little heavy. Okay, thank you.